Welcome to the Trailer Island podcast.
Hello.
It's another wonderful week on the island.
So I thought you were talking to me directly, so I thought I'd jump in there.
Yeah, sure, Matt. You're more than welcome to be that person I'm talking to. That's great.
Steve. Oh, Steve's also here.
Oh, of course, we can't forget Steve. Wonderful Steve. Oh, I killed the music. Where did it go? Oh, there it is.
Ah, good.
Oh, that's nice.
Sweet Matthew's dulcet string
I
plucking.
will serenade you with my strings.
I really like it when you pluck your strings.
All right, moving on.
Okay, we will. That's the end of that music, I suppose.
We're doing so well.
Yes, we are. This week we're going to talk about I'm not going to time tug this film because I believe it came out in 2019, but
Which is only last year for those of you playing at home.
yes, but it was only recently released on Netflix, and I suppose with all the delays to the cinemas and such, that I guess it doesn't hurt that we can say that this is out currently.
I think that's probably fair enough. Yeah.
Widely available?
Yeah. Well, it's on
And wildly available as well.
Yes, it's on Netflix, so it's available to the good people of planet Earth.
Okay, yes.
I'll say the title of the film.
Yes, Matthew, please.
All right, we're going to talk about the film called The Good Liar.
So tell me, have you done this a lot? Met people on the computer service? Don't you find it's always the same?
You mean the anticipation, followed by the letdown? But I tell myself, brace up. This time it will be different. Which is why I must now confess to you a deception on my part. My name is in fact not Brian, it's Roy.
To the future.
How much do you think she's worth?
Nearly £3 million.
You're going to take the lot?
You bloody bet I'm going to take it all. Is that your grandson?
It's too soon to be getting so close to him.
I've grown very fond of you.
Do you know who you are? You're the only person on this planet who makes me feel that I'm not alone.
I know things about you. Who you really are. You don't want to do this, Roy. It's the game. It's the adrenaline rush. What if it is?
Seems like you've had quite a past.
Enough to last several lifetimes.
It's really weird. I just want to point out that the Trailer Island podcast is set on an island, but we don't actually get to see the trailer. We just hear it in our...
Steve, did you not watch the trailer?
No, I did. But just listening to it by itself takes on a whole different form. That went from like spy thriller to action movie to drama piece to oddly Transformers movie for a second there, and then back to drama piece.
There's a lot in terms of the sound design on that trailer. There is a lot going on in the music they've chosen, in even just having seen the film. They are alternate takes of lines from that film. They do not deliver those lines the same way in the movie for the most part, I believe.
Okay.
Not all of them, just some of them are differently more sinister takes, I think, on some of the lines. It's a very dramatic trailer.
I really enjoy that trailer. I think it sets a really nice tone for the general vibe of the film.
I think it might be a little more dramatic. I agree with you, but I think it might be a little more dramatic than the actual movie itself is.
Yeah.
So this film is Cleopatra and Gandalf. They are...
We were all thinking it.
So it's Helen Mirren and Ian McKellan.
Dame Helen Mirren and Sir Ian McKellan, I think you'll find.
Oh, my grand apologies. Put your hand up if you've been in the same room as Ian McKellan.
Me?
Me too.
Just
when have you been in the same room as him?
I was following you guys.
Okay. I was in London
Again.
and saw his live show.
Yeah.
And I think he may have, at about the 3-hour mark, he might have mentioned this film that he was recording at the time, because I was in London last year and he touched my back.
He touched you on the shoulder once.
Yes, he did.
Just like in Gladiator.
Finish the sentence aggressively.
No. It was very softly. He said, perhaps we should go back to our seats now. He's an interesting dude. It was a good show. Anyway, let's not get distracted from this film. Matthew.
Well, Ian McKellan plays Roy, who is basically a con artist. That is established very, very early on in the movie, is that he is a con artist. and he's on an internet dating site with Helen Mirren. I forget her character's name. Betty. Obviously, just by the nature of this film, we don't actually know if Roy is his actual name. There's a lot of, he plays quite a few different kind of iterations of himself that we see. Sort of, he'll have a date with Betty, and then he'll turn into someone else, and that's quite.
Well, he's called Roy by his business partner, Vincent.
Oh, that's true.
Played by Jim Carter, who, if I could have narrate every moment of my life, I would just be permanently weak at the knees.
That's fair enough. He is very good in this film, in my opinion. The film opens with Roy on an internet dating site talking to Betty. And they agree to meet up, and that is essentially the catalyst of this story. They meet up and go, and it goes on from there.
She becomes his mark, his con artist mark.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. Yeah, he's trying to con her out of her. She's we're not quite sure how wealthy, but it's implied that she's quite wealthy.
They give the impression that she's got all these sorts of assets, and he's trying to get her to invest in this venture, whatever it may be, and that she'd be getting plenty of returns. And that we see established quite early is that he does this quite regularly.
That's right.
And as well.
He's quite good at it. He's actually
very good at it. And it was something very interesting and, I don't know, unsettling, because I think most of us grew up with Ian McKellan as Gandalf.
Yes, absolutely.
And seeing him in this role where he's playing a real bad guy.
He's quite nasty.
He's quite a nasty character. And I don't know if I'd ever, thought that I would hear Ian McKellan drop the C-bomb in a film.
Yeah.
And if we could, warn dear listener, if you've not seen the film yet, there is some language in it.
On that point, actually, before we get any further, I saw this trailer, I saw who was in it, I thought, this is going to be it's going to be a kind of, for want of a better word, a nice classy film. It's going to have, these great actors. One's a con artist, and it's going to be kind of this cat and mouse kind of thing. What I did not expect was people being run over by trains.
Oh, yeah.
People having their hands smashed in with hammers. Ian McKellen dropping the C-bomb, amongst other actors also swearing quite profusely. It's a fairly violent movie.
When I saw the warning at the start, I was like, really? Are you how are they going to interpret put that to film with geriatric actors? It's like, how does that work? But it happens,
and I think it does work. I think because you're not expecting it, because you've got Helen Mirren and Ian McKellen in this, you think, they're sweet old people. They're not gonna hurt anyone or have anything bad happen to them. But then the film progresses and.
Things happen.
And
I wouldn't say it's particularly unrealistic either. Like it seems fairly, for what everyone is capable of doing, seems quite worldly. Like
I think that's why it's so brutal. As you look at it going, and that's a very realistic depiction of whatever it is that's happening. You go, that's nasty.
And
the camera shows it. Like the camera doesn't cut away from anything, which is really weird.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
There are a few moments I was like, oh, I just saw that happen. That's not something I wanted to see.
It's like, in a superhero movie, like, realistically, you're not going to get covered by a building that's being zapped by someone super eyes and stuff. In this, you feel like, I could probably get stabbed with something.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that con artist Ian McKellen shouldn't have the same agility as Gandalf Ian McKellen. Which he sort of seems to do in this.
But his character has that split. He portrays himself as being a meek old man, but there are moments where he's quite capable of being agile.
Well, that's actually one of my favourite transformations he has in the film, where he is pretending to have a bit of a gammy knee when he's with Betty to get sympathy. And there's this bit where she drops him off at one point, he goes inside to somewhere, and then you see him come out the other side, and he's walking upright quickly again. He's fast-paced. He's like a much younger man all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It's quite a good performance, I think, from McKellen in that respect.
Absolutely.
He's really good in this.
He's very good, yeah.
So is Helen Mirren. Both of them are really good.
I do like this film for what it is in respect to two characters sort of playing with each other. Even if you looked at this as a dating film of older people trying to find love, if you remove the con stuff, you'd be like, oh, look at them playing this little game of trying to work out what each other is into and all those sort of things. And I must admit that I was feeling very, very uncomfortable in a particular scene with Ian McKellen where he's trying to woo Helen
what
Mirren.
you're talking about, yeah.
And it kind of, I was just like, when he's walking into the bedroom and he's like, oh, how about a cuddle?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that was quite... I mean, I think it's designed to be that way, but it is quite cringe-inducing.
And I think that's where a lot of this tension is, because you know that he is a con artist. It's very clear from this outset.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a con artist, and he's going to try and
Swindle her
and take her for everything that she's got.
Every last
And that is the
penny.
tension that you have in this film, that you're like, oh no, like how are they going to get out of this? But then you've got the grandson character of Betty as well, who is sort of like, I think, this seems really dodgy to me.
See, the tension for me definitely, like I was feeling from the outset, I was getting this genre film vibe. It was like almost a heist film.
Yeah.
And I was sort of waiting for the double cross. And so
Yeah.
I'm watching Helen Mirren's character the entire time going, how are you going to double cross?
Well, actually, I agree,
Ian
because
McKellan?
the thing that got me is when it's sort of cutting between them both signing up for this dating site, is she ticks not a drinker, and then she has a glass of wine.
Yep.
And I thought, okay, so it's clearly setting up this idea of you're not sure which one's going to be the worst, perhaps.
Because
out of
he
both of them.
ticks not a smoker,
Not a smoker,
and then he's smoking.
Yeah. But then, not... Well, we're going to put a spoiler warning out for this, aren't
I think
we?
at this point, dear listener, if you
Yeah.
haven't seen the film, this is where a significant of the portion of the film gets into where we do need to discuss it and how, and I think it has an impact of how well it does this.
Oh, yeah, I think so. In this circumstance, absolutely.
Impacts heavily on how we feel about this film. So if you've not seen the film, come back in when you've watched it. But if you or if you just want to know what happens, it's fine. I feel like it's probably better to see the film first and how it happens, because I feel like, for me, how this unravels, so spoiler warning from this point, is it's not done in a way that the audience could have had a chance to guess.
It's
was
very
very-
out of the blue.
It just...
It was abrupt.
It's just an abrupt reveal about it. It's like, well, at what point was I given the opportunity to maybe guess that there might be something happening
I
here?
think,
Yeah.
well, there are a few that, without expressly saying what the actual twist is, there are a few moments. So we find out that Roy is, yes, he's a con artist, but he's also not what he appears to be to anyone else, even his friend, I believe. And we find out that he is actually from Germany, I believe.
Yep.
He's a German.
And he's a German, and
A former German soldier.
former German soldier. And there are only a few clues to this. There's a bit where they end up... Well, for one thing, he's very reluctant to go to Berlin on a holiday with Betty. Once he is there, Betty's grandson, or is it grandson or son? Grandson, who is studying history and all that kind of stuff over there, who speaks fluent German, quotes something in German, and Roy immediately understands it, and he has to kind of cover that. Oh, wait, no, I don't speak German, because that was sort of the thing he was trying to hide behind. But I think other than that moment, there aren't really any other clues, really.
Yeah, I think that the whole twist, which, because we've done the spoiler warning, it turns out that Helen Mirren is actually the con artist, and she's playing the long con.
Well, I don't think she's a con artist.
Because I don't think she cons other
She's
people.
the one playing the revenge game.
Yeah.
Roy is the con artist. Betty is the one who's trying to outplay him.
She is the titular good liar.
Yeah, she
I
is.
think she is the good liar.
When I got to the end of this film, I actually thought that The Good Liar was a really good title, because we are always, lying is bad, lying is a bad thing to do. But in this instance, with what's happened to her character, you go, no, I think she was absolutely justified.
Oh, so you're saying she's the good liar in the terms of she's the person who we sort of feel for more.
I definitely did,
because
yeah.
I see her as being the good part, being implying the better liar.
She's skillful.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I took it as she was morally right to lie.
Okay. Well,
I think
both are correct.
Yeah, that's perfectly valid, I feel.
I'm struggling to decide whether this is a really badly structured film or a well-structured film, because we spend maybe the first half of this film, following Roy and sort of learning about how good of a con artist he is, how he's setting up his next con, and what's going to transpire from that. And then we spend the second half of the film with these little breadcrumbs about Roy's past, Betty's past as well. I think the problem is those breadcrumbs are probably too vague.
I would agree with that, yeah. I think they were too afraid. I don't say I blame them, but they were too afraid to give too much away.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you had like a dual plot going at the same time of a really nice in-depth flashback story, which they do, but maybe sprinkle that in the film maybe a little earlier and more frequently throughout.
Yeah.
It only sort of starts to appear, I think, about halfway through, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Once he's actually in Berlin is when suddenly we start getting flashbacks.
And then it's truly sort of the Act 3 that things start to unravel about people's true identities. And we discover that as Roy was a former German soldier who takes on the identity of a colleague who is killed and becomes a British man instead.
Somehow.
Because he was teaching English, so he was very fluent in his English, so he was able to adapt and take over someone's identity, get back to England. But what we learn is that in Germany, as a child, he was tutoring Betty as a child.
What a plot twist.
Formerly Lily.
Formerly Lily, who is also a German. So it turns out this is a German spy film, 2 steps short of
Das Boot.
Das
Yeah,
Boot.
Das Boot.
We're 2 steps short of Das Boot in this film, basically. I think. But here's the thing: like, I found that so wildly left of center
exactly.
as a reveal.
I agree.
I was just like, this is just strapped on.
It actually, it's so out of nowhere. It would have worked if they'd sort of teased it better, but I was watching it and I was really enjoying this movie. I quite liked it. And I literally did a double take in a bad way. I was like, wait, has this just shifted the story entirely? Like, it's too unjustified.
Well, they show Roy's character sexually assaulting Lily, Betty, whatever she is, and it's like they do all these things to make you go, he really is a bad guy. Like the con artist stuff wasn't enough, but that is the catalyst for Betty to be doing this revenge thing. And I was just like, I feel like they basically it's a good 40 minutes of exposition for them to get to this point.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, all right, no worries. Yeah, because the film starts off so lovely, like, not a word is said and they're typing all their preferences and stuff. And you're like, okay, cool. Like, I'm vibing this. I'm getting this. I'm starting to feel the stress already because I've seen the trailer, which gives that really nice background that we know that he's going to screw her over somehow. And the film starts that way and you feel like, okay, I'm getting a lot of tension. I'm a bit worried about how is she going to deal with this? Is she actually going to come out on top? And then they sort of have to throw it in as this sort of overtly
World War II backstory.
And because the film's set in 2009.
Yes.
I
think
don't
it
know
was-
why they emphasize that as well.
I feel like
I
because
think it was just their ages, isn't it? To make sure that they were the right age for...
looking back at it now, I think you're right that it's the only way that it can show that they were alive during World War II.
Because I think he's meant to be 15, isn't he?
'Cause
Just
they
before World War II.
Because the flashbacks that they show have them interacting around 1943.
Yeah.
It's just like this is such a weird way of. This is based on a book.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I am curious to see how not that I can read, but how the book translates or makes all of that work compared to how the film's like. Because like a film like, I know this is completely a different film entirely, but something like Ender's Game, where the book and the film are two, like the book explains things so much better. I guess that's sort of, and like The Martian, I was into sci-fi for a while, and they have to make movies about those books, but I was disappointed in both of those transitions from the book to film.
Yeah.
Where I was like, well, I've read the book first, and then I've seen the film. Like, yeah, this is terrible. So I'm curious to maybe read the
Whether
book.
it's smoother in there.
But then I'm wondering, has the film going to ruin my book experience now?
having seen the film, I reckon it would be quite a good book. I wouldn't mind reading it. But like you say, I know what happens. Now, provided the book is the same ending, but I have a feeling I know what happens, and that might ruin it a little bit. I wouldn't mind reading the book, to be honest.
I would say the whole German subplot is probably a little bit more fleshed out in the book.
I think it might be.
And
I hope it is.
Because in this, it's literally out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it comes back to my point is that we are not given the opportunity to sort of guess. It's like in the future, I want to do Knives Out, and in that, the way it's a lovely murder mystery whodunit, and when everything is sort of unraveled in that beautiful classical style of a TV show or a murder mystery, where it was this and this, but actually this happened at the same time, like that. That lovely.
Maybe the difference there just comes down to the script, because obviously Knives Out's written by Rian Johnson, who did the wonderful Last Jedi. So maybe that's the difference. And this film, who wrote this? It wasn't the director that wrote this.
No, Jeffrey Hatcher. Who I don't really
No, I don't know who
no
he
idea.
is. No. Did he do Last Jedi?
Anyone could have done better than The Last Jedi.
Okay then.
I lift my fedora to you.
because I was viewing this film as a heist film. that whole twist that felt even more contrived because I was expecting Helen Mirren to get the upper hand, and
So was I. I was expecting it as well, but I didn't know how it was going to happen. But I thought it could have been done better than that.
I think I would have enjoyed myself more if it wasn't like based on anyone's past. It was just that Helen Mirren is, this really, really good con artist.
Better con artist.
And she's got this boy toy called Steven that's not me, but the... no, the Steven that's her grandson in the film. And he helps her with her escapades.
Okay, right. You're heavily projecting for a moment
That's
there.
what I thought this film was.
Have you seen Helen Mirren kiss Stephen Colbert? Oh.
So this film was shot quite well.
Yes. Actually, I know you're trying to separate yourself from Steve's fantasies.
I'm trying to.
But yes, you are right. It is beautifully looking, and there's some lovely shots in this.
Actually, talking of though, and I hate to sound quite frigid, which you're laughing because that's not unlike me. Was I the only one that was uncomfortable seeing Ian McKellan walk into a strip club?
No.
The presence of nudity in this film was very
that's my point. Like, it was really in your face for a film that has Ian McKellen and Helen Mirren in it. I was like, wait, really?
I think it really takes a lot of your expectations about the kind of films that Ian McKellen is in and just gone, let's not do any of that.
Yeah, you're definitely not Gandalf in this one.
Yeah, it's not happening.
You shall not pass. He's not like that.
No. And he's like, he's a real slimy dude. Yeah. But that, I will give it to him, that Ian McKellen does such a fantastic job of playing a person you don't want to like.
Oh, yeah.
Does the same thing in Da Vinci Code as well. He's the villain in that.
Yeah, but in Da Vinci Code, you sort of love to hate him, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
In this one, you just think, oh, this guy's awful.
And then, like, when she started to screw him over, I'm like, oh, do I start feeling for him a bit now? But oh no, but he's basically a rapist. He's a con artist, and you're like, okay. But what I think, if we take the script as it was and as it was presented to us, I wonder if, because all along she's known that he's been this guy, and he's got no idea who she is, if in a double twist or turn he did know who she was.
Oh, I really don't want to see that movie.
Or another twist, he really doesn't know who he is, and he's just taking on identities as he can find them.
He's got a loss of identity.
Which makes his, like, where he ends up in the film all the more tragic.
What if it's, you know when Gandalf dies defeating the Balrog? What if this film is the dream he has before he's reborn as Gandalf the White?
Yeah.
How does he have a concept of a society with cars?
Well, that's why it's a dream.
Well, I was just looking at the book here that's actually written by a J.R.R. Tolkien.
It's called
Has he
the
done anything else?
Silmarillion. He'll never amount to a thing.
Well, I mean, I think you could argue this probably was a part of the Silmarillion, because who's really read that whole thing anyway?
Many have tried. Anyway.
I think for the most part, it is lovely, well shot. It's beautifully acted. It's just really that last act and how they try to tie things together. It really lets it down.
I didn't really enjoy Helen Mirren all that much. I thought she was a little bit one note throughout the whole thing.
She only really comes alive at the end, I'll give you that.
I didn't even think she was super great there either. She sort of just goes through, explains the back plot of the film. Very vanilla.
You think she phoned it in a little bit?
A little bit.
Okay.
Definitely wasn't the standard of Ian McKellen.
No, Ian McKellen is invested. I think he really enjoyed playing the bad guy in this. And who can blame him? It's a pretty cool, other than, like we say, a bit out of the blue, but it's a pretty cool character.
I don't feel like I had any problems with her character.
Okay.
I definitely didn't. I thought she was fine.
I thought she was kind of cool. So I feel like, the supporting cast in this was fantastic.
The acting across the board is actually really good in this.
Yeah.
It's really, really well acted film.
When we come to our ratings, I think I'm just going to be repeating myself, but perhaps we should do that now.
Sure.
Out of what palm tree walking sticks? I don't know, knee replacements.
Coconut knee replacements.
Coconut knee replacements.
I'll allow it. Well, that's Monty Python reference there. Where'd you get the coconuts from? They're tropical. This is a temperate zone. Anyway, so I'll start quoting the whole film. Let's not do Holy Grail. Let's move on.
Yeah, okay.
Coconut knee replacements. I like that.
Yeah, all right. I think I'm going to land in between the two of you in this.
Yeah, okay.
Is that I do like a lot of the film, and again, it was lovely to have a film that we could just sort of sit back and relax and watch. And it's not a superhero movie, which seems to be all the rage at the moment. It was a character-driven drama about two people and playing chess against each other, basically. I think I'm stuck between like 3 and 3.5. Like, it was just a very film for me. I wasn't like, this film was suggested to me by multiple people. You've got to watch it. And I was like, okay, cool, yeah. And for the first half, I was into it. I was like, this is cool. I'm genuinely stressed about this. It's not a wild action adventure. It's people who are working within their limits to achieve their goals, and just how the twist and the plot is brought into it. I just felt like it was a bit of a meh to the audience. So yeah, I'm going to go 3.
May I ask you, or do you want to?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Oh, I guess we're going to end on a resoundingly negative result, but that's okay. I really quite enjoyed this film. The trailer to me suggested you may laugh at this, and that's fine, but it suggested to me sitting down with a cup of tea with SIR Ian McKellan and Dame Helen Mirren and having a good old time about a nice film about some con artists, And the film is sort of that, but it's actually quite adult and brutal and quite violent in places, and it surprised me, and I was really pleased to be surprised by this movie, and as a result I actually enjoyed it a tremendous amount. The twist does come out of nowhere at the end, which it not in an enjoyable way. I had to like pause it and think and go, wait, hold on, so how does that work? So in that respect, it does subtract from the rating somewhat, despite how thoroughly enjoyable the first 3/4 actually is. Really enjoyable. I'm going to give it a 4.
Oh, God.
Yeah, because I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Steve, he's allowed opinions.
There are things wrong with
I don't know.
All favorite films like Empire Strikes Back or Lord of the Rings. They're going to be if no film is perfect unless it's Rear Window. It's 4 from me.
Steve.
I was expecting a twist. I got a twist. The twist was very, very subpar. Do not snort wine out of your nose, please, Matthew. I wasn't. I mean, the real standout performance is obviously Ian McKellan, but it really doesn't detract away from the fact that I was pretty bored throughout the whole thing, and I still don't know why it's set in 2009. Just 2.
It's so they can go and watch Inglourious Bastards in the cinema.
Cool. That was the best part of the film.
Didn't it?
That was the best part of the film. Yeah, that'll be just a 2 for me.
Oh,
Okay.
a 2?
Yeah.
So we got 6. What did you give it, Alex?
Quite generally,
It's 9. It's 9 out of 15.
I'm genuinely not ever going to go back and watch it. Like,
I would. I'd watch this again.
okay.
I would easily happily watch this again.
I don't think my wife, she needs to watch it, so I might watch it over her shoulder, but it's probably as close as I'm going to get to watching it again. We have been the Trailer Island podcast. Thank you again for listening. You can find us at trailerisland.com.au to find any of our old episodes or from wherever podcast service you prefer. Jump on Facebook, give us a review there. Send us a message via Facebook as well. You can send us an email too, contact@trailerisland.com.au. There's a Twitter, Island Trailer.
An Island Trailer.
That's a con man we need to find, isn't it? The guy that took that.
We're going to con him out of an at address.
Yeah. Always happy to take requests as well. Always send through requests for films for us. We always enjoy
I am
hearing.
absolutely, it could be a film this year. Have you been to the cinema and seen a film now that cinemas are slowly reopening, which is really cool?
It is cool.
But if you haven't, then, send us an older film that you really like and we'll time tug it.
Toot toot.
Yeah. I've been Alex. I've been joined by...
I am Steve.
And I might be Matthew, depending on who you ask.
And we will catch you on the next episode of the Trailer Island podcast. Good night.
I'm not trying to trick you.
This is a Narrative Network podcast.